Hello, hello, and welcome to Makeup and Wrestling, the only show here on YouTube where we do our makeup and we talk about wrestling, specifically AEW Dynamite. And I know I've been gone for a while, but I am back, bitches, so let's get right into it. But before we talk about Fyter Fest, I do have a quick little update for those of you who care. Stay right here, and for those of you who don't, you can skip to this point right here in the video, and I'll get started talking about Fyter Fest. And for those of you who stayed, then let's talk about what the fuck's been going on the last couple of months. As all of you know, I am a small business owner, and over the last couple of months my business has grown, but that has come with a lot of adjustment to my life and dealing with family. I've unfortunately had some of my pets go through some health issues. I did acquire a new pet in late December. I have another dog now, so there's 3 of them. So it's been a lot of different changes over the last couple of months, and I've just been exhausted. So on certain days where I would have a little bit of time, I just didn't have the strength to muster and get on camera and talk about wrestling or beauty or whatever. So here I am now, and yeah, thank you for listening. Hopefully I won't be gone for as long again. I do have quite a bit of content planned out that I'm going to film. I am setting up a schedule of a filming day and when I'm going to do all this shit, so you'll be seeing a lot more of me. I'm not going away. Not anytime soon. So let's jump right into the video. Today we're gonna go for some smoky and grungy vibes, and I'll be using the Melt Cosmetics Gemini palette as well as the ABH Subculture palette. And last but not least, I'll be dipping into some of these absolutely gorgeous Guevara retro liners. I do have them with the old label before they rebranded as Guevara when they were Glam Vice, but I fucking love these things, so that's what we're gonna play with today. So Fyter Fest Night 1 started off actually very strong with a great first match to kick off the night between Jon Moxley and Carl Anderson for the IWGP US title. I've said it before and I'll say it again, I absolutely love that AEW is doing all these partnerships with all these other wrestling promotions. Recently, they've been having a really good partnership, of course, with Impact Wrestling, as well as New Japan Pro Wrestling. So it's really amazing. For a person like me who only tunes into Dynamite, seeing little tidbits here and there does encourage me to seek out and watch other wrestling promotions with the little free time that I do have. So I think it's really amazing. It was a really solid match. They did great, and Moxley retained. Following the first match, we saw a backstage interview with Andrade. Oh my god, I'm not even gonna attempt to say his last name because I'm gonna butcher the shit out of it, but with him. And basically he said he is interested in locating the Death Triangle and I guess kicking their ass, or one by one, I don't know. To me, Andrade is a very new talent. I'm not very familiar with his work. I do know he comes from WWE, so I am excited to see what he's going to bring to the table as such a hyped up talent. Next, we had our second match of the night, which was for the FTW title. We had Brian Cage defending against his teammate Ricky Starks. I was really interested in seeing this match. Number one, it's been a while since Ricky Starks has been in action, and this is his first big match since he's been back from injury. And I was also really curious on how this tension between Brian Cage and the rest of Team Taz was going to resolve. Over the last couple of weeks, we've been seeing them arguing and disagreeing, and Brian Cage more and more has been feeling like the outsider in Team Taz. This match tonight was definitely destined to happen, and it was extremely fun to watch. There were quite a few near falls. Both Ricky and Brian Cage were hitting some serious, big, amazing moves, so it was very exciting to watch. But towards the end, that's where it got spicy. So at one point, when the ref had his back turned, Ricky tried to grab the FTW title from Hobbs, and Hobbs was like, I'm not gonna give you the title, like, the fuck? He like pulled it back from his arm, and that clearly spoke to Ricky that like, look, we're with Brian, like, fuck you. Things weren't looking good for Ricky towards the end there. So just as Brian Cage was about to hit this big maneuver, Hook had the referee distracted, and as Cage was about to hit the move, Ricky ducked, and Cage leaned against the ropes. Hobbs all of a sudden pops up there, slams him in the head with the title. They tried to make it look like an accident, but it was no fucking accident, okay? Go watch the playback. That was not an accident. And then, you know, Ricky gets the 1, 2, 3, and I was just like, bet. Totally unexpected. Well, It kind of was. I was low-key expecting it. But, you know, they tried to play me for a little bit there. And I fell. I fell for it. I fell for it. Because as soon as the match was done, Taz comes to ringside. And, you know, they're all hugging on Ricky along with Hook and Haas. And I was just like, okay, Brian is out. So I'm very interested to see how things are going to go for Brian Cage from here. Is he going to try to get back into Team Taz? Is he going to continue in this kind of good guy persona and really distance himself from everybody else? I think Brian Cage is a guy that I would definitely root for. So I don't know what's going to happen next, but I'm definitely very excited. I'm super happy for Ricky Starks. He definitely been deserved a title shot of some kind. So I think the next step after this would be, in my mind, in the perfect world, would be eventually a shot at the TNT title against none other than Miro. Yes, I would love to see a feud between Ricky Starks and Miro. I think they could have some great promos, some great back and forth, and both are super talented guys. I would love to see them square off in the ring. So, what do you guys think? What do you think is going to be the future for Brian Cage, and what is going to be the future for Ricky Starks and Team Taz? Drop it down below. Next, we had the announced team discuss the debut of Malachi Black from, I think it was like last week or maybe about 2 weeks ago, and how he came in and fucked some shit up and attacked Arn Anderson and everybody else in the ring. So then all of a sudden, Cody comes in this crisp white suit just ready to fuck shit up. Like, the man is fuming. So our boy Cody grabs the mic and he starts popping off. He's like, how dare you kick in the face a 62-year-old man? Like, you think you're so brave? Like, you talk this and that. Like, just going off. So then he rushes into the ring. He gets the other mic because at first he grabbed the headset. He rushed to the ring. He got in the ring. He talked more of his shit. And he was like, look, if you're a real man, come in the ring right now. Face me. You want to talk about politics? You want to talk about that I'm doing this, that, and the other? Come here. Come here, you know, like, let me give you a little something. So then we see Malachi on the footage and he starts doing this like fucking weird ass promo. Like, I don't know what y'all thought, but to me it was not intimidating. It was kind of confusing. He started saying something about a tale of some guy who had some racehorse who was really awesome, and then it wasn't. Just a totally unnecessarily long metaphor. Like, as confusing as I sound right now explaining that to you, imagine how confused I was hearing it. Like, none of this was intimidating or scary, or I don't know what the fuck he was going for, moody, creepy. I don't know. It just, it wasn't the vibe, okay? It was not the vibe. So after all the crippled horse talk, all of a sudden, of course, the lights go completely dark. And Malachi pops in the ring. Him and Cody are fighting, you know, throwing forearms back and forth. All these refs come in. They try to break them up. And that was pretty much that segment. I'm not familiar with Malachi Black either. I know for a long time he was in WWE as well. And I do plan on actually making a specific video because I have gotten this question in my DMs, not necessarily in my comments, about why I no longer watch WWE, but that's another video for another time. But anyways, I'm not familiar with his work. I've heard a lot of great things about him. I know he was great on The Independents from what I've heard. Pretty good in WWE, but of course, WWE doesn't give a lot of great talents a chance. So now he's here. I'm excited to see what he's gonna do. Cody so far has proven himself to have a good feud with pretty much anyone and everyone. So let's see where this goes. Next, we saw Santana and Ortiz backstage along with Tully Blanchard, and basically Santana and Ortiz gave him a good little scare. They acted like they were gonna fuck him up with his crowbar, but they didn't, and they were basically saying like, yo, get your boys, you know, because we're about to do something, we're about to beat your ass. So the Inner Circle Pinnacle feud definitely is far from over, but that was funny. I really appreciated the fake crowbar thing, so it was it was cute. I don't know if threatening to beat up an old man should be cute, but that's how I'm gonna describe it. Following that, we had Tony Schiavone interview Hangman Page in the middle of the ring. So Hangman came out, they started talking, and basically one thing led to another, and Hangman, of course, said that he would like to charge that he would like to challenge Kenny Omega for the AEW title. And before Hangman could even get another word in, you hear fucking Don Callis on the mic talking about, LOL, no. And he comes out with the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks, and Can we just have a moment of appreciation for the absolute shit show that was the Young Bucks? The Young Bucks. Clearly this whole segment that I'm about to talk about, I can't speak for. But the Young Bucks, what the fuck are they wearing? What is this? First of all, I'm obsessed. Like, you have a literal cowboy cat riding a shark who is throwing up rainbows. I mean, it's genius. Progressively, as the weeks have gone by and their personas have gotten douchier and douchier, I have been absolutely enamored. That is a very strong word, but low-key enamored with what they've been wearing or what they're gonna wear. Because every week it just keeps escalating to more and more ridiculous levels, and I'm obsessed. So kudos for that. So then Nick Jackson proceeds to do a really great imitation of the TikTok sound, you're not that guy. You're not that guy, pal. So I was also living for that, and then they all were like, yeah, you're not the guy. And Mav grabs the mic, and he goes in the ring, and he's like, I have something to say. So he was like, hey, you see me? Yeah, I'm that friend that you abandoned. And he just starts going off. And he was like, yeah, we were there for you, but you weren't there for us. And he gets a little bit closer to him. He's like, ooh, you been drinking again? Like, ooh, I guess if it's there and it was a sad, lonely, drunk cowboy who ends up alone. And I was just like, oh, bitch. But that wasn't it. No. He kept going. He was really trying to get under Hangman's skin. So then he proceeded to say, he's like, and the way basically you're going, you're going to end up the next great wrestling tragedy. Ooh! Hangman wanted to hit him, and Matt said, what, you going to hit me? Hangman Swan. Boom. Right in the face. After that exchange, Kenny Omega, of course, proceeded to be an absolute douche and say that he was going to give Hangman Page the match that he needed, not that he wanted, and that he wanted to do a 5-on-5 tag team match, Kenny Omega and Hangman Page, and then, you know, the partners of their choice. So I was just like, that's some fucking bullshit. The man asked you for a title shot, like, give him a title shot. But then things got a little fun. There is hope. So instead we got the wonderful proposal of this. So Kenny Omega will get to have the match that he said that Hangman Page needs. So the 5-on-5 tag will happen. But if Hangman Page wins, then he gets to face Kenny Omega for the title. But not only that, Dark Order gets to face the Young Bucks for the AEW Tag Team Championships, which is the shit amazing. I'm totally here for it. But there's definitely a downside, because if they lose, not only will the Dark Order get to lose their title shot for the tag team titles, but Hangman Page will get to lose his title shot against Kenny Omega for the AEW Championships. Very, very interesting stipulation, but I'm totally here for it. When there's big stakes like this on the line, it's always fun to watch. So I'm very excited for the outcome of this match. Next, we were once again taken backstage, and this time we saw Alex Marvez interview Jericho, and Chris Jericho was being asked how he felt about all the stipulations that MJF has placed on Jericho, just so Jericho has the opportunity once again to face off against MJF. I'm not super well versed on Greek mythology, but Chris said that he expects quite a lot from such an intelligent and learned individual as MJF, and even though MJF knows his shit, he doesn't know his shit all the way, because according to the Greek mythology that he is pulling from, Hercules wins in the end, and I guess Jericho is Hercules, and basically he said that he's the god of thunder and everything, and he's gonna kick MJF's ass. And before he could get another word in, MJF and Shawn Spears broke into the dressing room and attacked Chris. It is very hard for me to do my eyeliner and talk. I already tried to do this with this eye, so you guys are just gonna see a quick little sped up version of how I achieved that. MJF and Shawn Spears broke into the locker room. Of course, they started attacking Jericho with the chair, and MJF had Shawn pin down Chris, and he was like, hey Chris, like, what's up? And he basically announced to Chris that one of the first of 5 labors, is what he's calling it, of Jericho, is going to be next week, and that's going to be a match between Chris Jericho and Shawn Spears, and the stipulation is that Shawn Spears can use chairs during the match and Chris Jericho can't. So I'm very excited about how this is going to proceed. The fact that there's 5 different matches that Jericho has to go through just to get to MJF is going to make their final collision, or it's not going to be the final, I doubt it, but the final collision, at least of this point in their feud, that much more satisfying. So I'm very, very excited about next week and all the matches that are going to precede the one that we're going to have afterwards. You guys know I love MJF. This is an MJF stan account pretty much. So as much as I would love to see him get in the ring sooner with Jericho rather than later, I do understand that this is necessary. Was between Matt Hardy and Christian Cage, and the whole situation, how it came about, was basically that in the past 20 to 25 years that Christian Cage and Matt Hardy have been competing against each other. Christian Cage apparently has never had a singles win over Matt Hardy, so this was a very big deal for him and a very big match, because ever since Christian Cage came to AEW, his whole thing has been outwork everyone and just prove to everyone that he is the best, the most deserving, which he's definitely been needing to do, and not that he really needs to prove himself at this point, but he just hasn't been given the chance. So this was a pretty good match. I wouldn't say overall that it was the most exciting match of the night, but the guys put on a good show. Christian overcame as the winner. I was kind of a little suspicious at first during the match when, you know, Matt Hardy came out with his, peoples, but, you know, Big Money Matt wasn't able to get the job done. However, once the match was done, Big Money tried to have all his boys, you know, he tried to have Private Party and all the other people that are under his management to attack Christian, but Luchasaurus and Jungle Boy came to save the day. I'm kind of sensing a potential maybe 6-man tag or something else like that, so we'll see how this proceeds. Again, it wasn't the most exciting match of the night, but it did have its place. Next, we had a pre-taped promo from Miro, and when I tell you this promo to me was fucking hilarious, it was fucking hilarious. So this man proceeds to begin with, so there once was a man who had a hot wife who can do the splits, and the man was also hot, but he was lost. Dead. Like, honestly, he is so fucking funny. I've been looking forward to all his promos as of recent. Like, it does not cease to amaze me how entertained I will be. He then proceeded to say that he woke up one morning and he remembered who the fuck he was, and that he went and God told him to take the fucking title and prove himself. So pretty much hyping him up that he's an unstoppable champ, which so far he has been. He's been undefeated since he has became the TNT champ. So I'm really excited for his title reign. And again, as I mentioned earlier, I really would like to see him and Ricky Starks compete for the title. Make it happen. If there's somebody that can make it happen that's watching this, probably not. Like, who is here? Well, you're here. Thank you. I love you. Next, we had Tony Schiavone and Britt Baker in the ring together. He was interviewing Britt and asking her how she feels about facing Nyla Rose next week for her first title defense, I believe, for the AEW Women's Championship. And Britt proceeded to do a low-key savage promo saying that she doesn't want to face Nyla, nobody wants to see her and Nyla, and honestly, she's low-key right, because as I've mentioned before, I am getting a little bit sick of seeing Britt Baker. And Nyla Rose over the last year and a half has had exposure. Not as much as she did the year prior in 2019, but during 2020 she was pretty active. She did have her whole feud with Shida. But as I've said before, I'm not excited for this match. Britt is great. I definitely do think she's highly deserving of being women's champion. But these are like some of the only women that we really see in major storylines and being hyped up. So I want to see a little more variety. Give it to me, baby. Am I the only one? Like, do you guys feel this way? Let me know. Next, we had another match, and this time it was Sammy Guevara facing off against Wheeler Yuta. I am not familiar with Wheeler Yuta at all. They did show, prior to the match, a couple of clips of him wrestling and that he's had some recent wins, and I think this is his first major match on Dynamite, if I'm not mistaken. I'm really forgetting a lot of things tonight, y'all. But it was a good match. Sammy, of course, came out on top. There was no reason for Yuta to win unless they were planning to push him into some sort of storyline. And right now, Sammy Guevara is pretty hot. He's had a lot of really great matches recently, over the last couple of weeks, together with the Inner Circle and then separate on his own as a solo performer. So we love it. Good match. But it was just really short, and it was there to fill space, so not the most exciting, but it was cool. Next, we had our only women's match of the night, which was between Penelope Ford and the returning Yuka Sakazaki. This match was alright. It wasn't super eventful or anything. I don't really remember much from it. Yeah, it just kind of existed. I thought Yuka did great. She had a lot of energy. I'm not really sure like what the deal is with Miss Penelope Ford. I'm not super familiar with her character. I think she's supposed to be like a bad girl or a bad bitch of some kind. So if somebody can fill me in down in the comments, because your girl doesn't know. And they didn't really have the most chemistry together. It was just a match, once again, to signal the return of Yuka and also to give like Penelope something to do. But I'm glad there was at least some sort of women's representation on the card besides the promo with Britt and Nyla. So, kudos. Not very big kudos, like very minimal, like A- for effort, because personally, I would have preferred a more developed women's feud to take up that spot. But unfortunately, when it comes to women's feuds that are not present within the AEW women's title picture, they're kind of non-existent, and if they are pretty much only on Dark or not on Dynamite because they don't really see them. Now, AEW did finally make the announcement for their second weekly show that will be airing every Friday on TNT, and that will be AEW Rampage. The first episode premieres on Friday, August 13th. So maybe with the premiere of this second weekly program, we will get more women's feuds overall that are just not in the title picture, but are just women's feuds in general. If we can have regular feuds between two dudes that are not revolving around a title, then we can have a feud that's exciting between two women that also does not revolve around a title. We had Britt Baker and Thunder Rosa. Unfortunately, we can't have Thunder Rosa in everything as much as I would like that to be the case. So let's make it happen. Come on, guys. We got the second show. Again, if somebody's watching this that can make shit happen over there in AEW, do something about it. And for our main event to close off the show, we had our first ever AEW coffin match. It was Darby Allin facing off against Ethan Page. Now, to be quite honest with you guys, this feud, I don't really remember how it came together, like at all. And I know it's fairly recent, but it hasn't been that memorable. And I'm not about to go back and rewatch everything to remind myself of how this occurred. But regardless of the fact, I think these two men did a pretty terrific job with the amount of time that they had. They pretty much wrestled within the last 15 minutes of the show, so I think a lot of people maybe had a lot of expectations from this match. I low-key did. I didn't go into this match with a ton of expectations, but I did have some. At this point, I'm pretty sure most wrestling fans, even casual ones, have at least witnessed several coffin or casket or whatever you want to call them type matches. And most of the time, these types of matches can be a bit boring if not done correctly. This match, however, was not boring. It was pretty good. But I did have to go back and rewatch it. I don't know if it has something to do with the fact that it was kind of late at night at this point and I was fucking tired, so. But I did go back and rewatch it so I can really give you guys my full formed opinion on the match, and it was good. To start off the match, we had Darby come in the ring and immediately attack Ethan. And the really cool thing that I enjoyed that he did was that he wore a back plate under his shirt. And he pretty much did a couple of coffin drops, I believe, right on Ethan as soon as he got in the ring. So that was really cool, very thought out, great strategy on Darby's part. But he was not the only one to come with surprises, because then we witnessed Scorpio Sky all of a sudden pop out of the coffin when Darby wanted to open the coffin to kind of try and already throw Ethan in for a quick win, and Scorpio started attacking Darby, but Sting came to the rescue and him and Scorpio took it out to the crowd. Now, I do want to say there was a big portion of this match that was done in the stands, in the audience area, and it was really cool to see that. I'm sure the fans really, really loved it. I believe this is the first AEW show that's not at Daly's place, so it was definitely a big moment, and I'm glad they did that. I mean, everybody looked like they loved it, and they did some pretty cool spots out there, not gonna lie. Now, once they made their way back to the ring, we had some fun with the turnbuckle and some steel steps. At one point, Ethan undid the turnbuckle, and he used the turnbuckle hook that hooks onto the post to drag Darby Allin by his neck chain. So that was a really cool visual, looked really brutal and awful. And then Darby, to return the favor, hit Ethan in the head with the hook, busted him open. That was really dope. There was a lot of stuff done with the steel steps. The most notable spot that was done with the steel steps, in my opinion, was the one where Ethan got Darby off the top rope and pretty much just slammed him back first right onto the steel steps. That just, oh my god, that is brutal. Absolutely brutal. That was not fun at all. But it was pretty violent. It wasn't a super violent match, I would say, overall, but it did have a lot of moments where I winced. And as somebody who is turning 27 tomorrow that has occasional back pain, if you got back pain, this match is gonna make you wince. A lot of shots to the back that are not fun. So in the last moments of the match, Ethan and Darby were going at it back and forth against the ropes right by where the coffin was. The coffin was already open, and Darby came off the corner top rope, skateboard on his feet, and landed right on Ethan's back, and Ethan fell straight in the coffin. Darby closed the coffin, and match is over. So it was a pretty great match overall. Again, I did have to rewatch it, but I kind of feel that's my fault. So it was a great way to close out the show, and definitely very brutal. And right at the end of the match, Darby decided to jump off the corner top rope and do a coffin drop onto the coffin lid that was already closed on Ethan. That did not look like it put the final quote-unquote nail in the coffin of Ethan. It looked like it put one of the many nails on the potential Darby Allin coffin. Like, what the fuck is that? Like, sir, stop it. Get some help. Please stop hurting yourself. It's so brutal. So that was the main part that I personally felt was unnecessary. I don't know how y'all felt about it, but just, I want this man to live. I think we're in a point in wrestling where we're a little more knowledgeable about what these athletes put their bodies through. So even though I've been loving all the hardcore and brutal stuff that AEW's been doing lately, I want these athletes to have a long lifespan. So I think maybe we need to just dial it back just a wee bit. Because as a person who grew up on late 90s, kind of end of the Attitude Era, mainly Ruthless Aggression era, I've seen a lot of extreme things. And I know that a lot of these athletes now have issues. So please, Darby Allin, I don't want to see you on some special talking about all the shit that you have broken. I'm just concerned. That's all. So that was our show. I personally thought it was a wonderful episode of Dynamite. So my rating for this week, for sure, it is totally awesome. Absolutely amazing episode of Dynamite. I really, really enjoyed it. What did you guys think? A lot of really amazing moments. I'm really looking forward to Fyter Fest, night 2 next week. AEW, just mwah, thank you. You always just knock it out of the park. So what do you guys think? Drop it down in the comments. What do you think of this look? Let me take you in a little bit closer. You know, we went a little graphic, a little fun, a little funky. I personally love it. I think the look was fine already. But I'm a little dramatic and unnecessary, so this was a fun way to come back. Once again, thank you guys so much for watching, and thank you so much for still sticking around here. I can't believe how far this channel has gotten, and I'm really glad that you guys are enjoying this series in particular. And now that I'm building up my schedule the way that I like it, I'll be able to film these videos a lot more often for you guys. And let me know what other content you would like to see, because this is not only the Makeup and Wrestling channel. We do other shit around here. So, mwah, love you guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!